Night Vision. Following clues left by our ancestors, we unbury the past to reveal a knowledge of unfathomable value, putting us just a little closer to our own true birthrights. From the secret history of a possible bloodline of Jesus Christ, to secret history of America's founders, to the secret history of extraterrestrial interaction on our planet, here to bring light to the night. Your host for Night Vision Radio, Renee Barnett.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Night Vision, or welcome to Night Vision if this is your first visit. Really glad to have each and every one of you. And I'm so excited about tonight's show because we have, if I can mix some metaphors, a double header of discoveries, of new discoveries that are just going to blow your mind as they have mine. And I can't wait to get into it. I'll give you a hint of this, what's coming up second hour. We're going to be talking to a researcher and treasure hunter named Justin Cannady, who has a copy of an original signed Declaration of Independence, and you will not believe how he stumbled upon this document. And when you hear the story, it's going to blow your mind. And we've got some images to show you of that. And not only that, but when he's been out doing his research, he's had a couple of weird things happen. So I'm going to see if I can twist his arm into talking about those a little bit. So be sure and stay tuned for hour two. First hour coming up, oh my goodness, we've got John Edwards. He is, first and foremost, which I'm most proud of about John, is that he's a teacher. I love teachers, and I think teachers should be paid at least double what they get. I got a lot of teachers in my family. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of them, but they really are dedicated. And what more important job could there possibly be than to bring up our next generation? And it's so important. And it's especially in these crazy times when, we can't really sort out what's real history and what's not. So it's great to have someone, but he's so much more than that. But I'm going to bring him on right now, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about what he's going to tell us tonight, which is, again, our friend Court Lindell, friend of the show, friend of mine, friend of all of us on this show tonight, introduced me to John and said, this guy's got something, Renee. You gotta hear about it. You gotta see it. And he started telling me what it was. And I thought, oh my goodness, how did he happen to come? Of course, I'm skeptical always, especially, as many of you know, I've been burned in the past, famously hoaxed. And so I'm super careful these days about what I actually turn my attention to. So this was something that was so incredible, I had to bring it to you. And it's a book, but it's a very special book. And John, hello, how are you?
I'm here. I'm great.
I'm so glad you could make it. I'm
pleasure.
so excited. I've been thinking about this for a few months now, ever since I heard about it. Mm-hmm. And should we just play the video, or you want to set up the video at all?
Sure. Actually, it's a book. It's a series of books and images that have been piecemealed and acquired outside of placed outside of Israel from a private collection. The contacts were made to acquire the books, and they're real. This is one of the shipping boxes from Israel, so and it takes about 2 months to get here between customs and everything. But the books are spectacular. They're going to blow everyone's mind when you see some of the images. They're still being vetted, but I say let's just roll the video and then talk about it.
Right. So it's pay attention to the images of the book, and also to some of the personal markings, because that's where we really get into some really interesting stuff. So here we go. Let's have a look.
In 1242, the fortress of Montségur in southern France, in the Pyrenees Mountains, became the site of the last stand of the Cathars. At that time, 4 individuals are said to have escaped Montségur with what is termed the Holy Grail. As time went on, the search for the Holy Grail became popular in the contemporary art of Europe. Here, the Ghent altarpiece displays items from the Arma Christi associated with the Passion of Christ, including the Cup of Christ, also known as the Holy Grail. The Ghent altarpiece has quite a history, including it being possessed by the Nazi regime, who may have believed that an actual map to the location of the Holy Grail was encoded within the painting. The Ghent altarpiece was created in about 1432 by famous Renaissance artist Jan van Eyck. The search for the Holy Grail involves several different groups looking for it over time. Many legends of the Knights Templar and other chivalric orders include a search for the Holy Grail. The Nazi obsession with the Holy Grail and other relics led them to loot many museums, libraries, and private art collections of Europe. This included many libraries associated with Masonic lodges in France and Germany. As part of their efforts, they sent a man named Otto Rahn to southern France and northern Spain to search for the Holy Grail based on the legend of the Cathars. Given the Nazi fascination with the Holy Grail, it may be no coincidence their spiritual center of Wewelsburg Castle resembles the plan for Fortress Montségur. As time went on, the Catholic interest gained a huge appreciation for the items that are part of the Arma Christi, including the fabled facecloth of Christ. Recently, the discovery of a series of books and images by researcher John Edwards may help to expose new views of hidden relics and how the Nazis viewed their importance. Someone had obtained important books related to the liturgy and Book of Hours, valued by the Catholic Church, that the Nazis had later obtained and used for themselves as part of their search for the Holy Grail. All of these books have interesting notations and include the stamp of the Einsatzstab Rosenberg group that was responsible for the looting of libraries and museums all over Europe. At a later date, someone had added notations that meant something only to them. The notations in the book, while interesting, don't lead to any specific conclusions, but do indicate the person who left the notations was a relic or treasure hunter. Join us in our quest as we use this new information to hunt down new clues as to the location of the lost relics and treasures that may be related to the Cathars, Montségur, Montserrat in Spain, the story of Rennes-le-Château, and yes, even one of the most famous treasure stories of North America. Stay tuned for more, as we're working on a full-length documentary that will feature all of this information in detail as we explore all of the possibilities.
Wow, what a teaser. I have like 5 million questions already, but I'm going to let you, before I start.
Well, ask away. I mean, there's just so much there to unpack.
Well,
so
I mean,
feel free.
and I noticed it. I didn't notice it the first time around earlier today, as you know, everything's kind of hectic. But I didn't notice that it was Van Eyck that was the artist. He's got a lot of interesting work from that time period, and I'm really interested. And I was just thinking about him just recently, and I was thinking, okay, I got to get into some of those paintings and things of Van Eyck's. It's interesting. The other thing that really caught my eye about this, which I never drew the connection and never have heard anyone else make it, is that the design of Wewelsburg is similar to the design of Montsegur or vice versa. When was Wewelsburg built? Do you know?
I'm not offhand. That's something that Court and I are still vetting.
I wonder.
We're just just getting into the research, but there was that parallel. So
honestly,
we're still vetting a lot of the information.
I can't even remember when Montsegur was built. I know that what stands there now is the ruin of a second building. There was an original building, and then it was destroyed, and they rebuilt it. So I don't know exactly what years that was, but of course the Montsegur incident where the Cathars were martyred was in 1244. So it would have had to have been sometime before that, that's for sure. But this all started with you looking at, antiquarian documents and books via book sales, estate sales, and things like that.
Correct.
This estate sale came to your attention because it had a lot of books. And so this was a person in Israel that you connected with who will protect their privacy, of course.
Yes. It's the family did not want to be mentioned. They wanted to, have their privacy, but they were willing to sell the books to me. And that was great.
We have like 5 million people emailing them, asking them questions.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be too cool. But so when you made this discovery of this particular estate sale in this particular book, did you already know about the markings that were inside the book that became of particular interest, or did you kind of buy it sight unseen?
No, I had a preview of the markings, and I'm like, when I saw them, my jaw dropped. I'm like, I knew what I was looking at because I spent the past 30 years studying symbolism, pedagogical use of symbols, from Templars to the Age of Exploration, secret societies, the whole 9 yards, alchemy. So I was versed in what I was seeing, and I was like, okay, I know exactly what these symbols mean. And at that point, I knew what the significance of the books were. And so when I started to match what I was seeing up with some of the esoterica that I've been decoding over the years, it was an exact match. And I said, okay, these books are significant. And at that point, I acted quickly to acquire the ones I could, because it looked like the bits and pieces of the estate were being sold off. And I'm like, well, I better act quickly. And so I did. And, quickly enough to acquire several of the relics. And here's actually one of the books that I retrieved from the safety deposit box. What's interesting about the book, and the first thing, is that little Masonic symbol right there.
Yeah.
If you can see that. And that would have been hidden. So if it was on the bookshelf, you wouldn't have seen it, except if you pulled it out and looked. And you're like, okay, this is one of the books that maybe have some esoterica in it. And then you start going through the book. And then you start seeing certain symbols. And you go through another book and you see certain symbols. And you look at other images. And you start piecing together a story. The story it's a line of thought. And I've been studying the line of thought for some time, going from the Templars, even before into ancient Jerusalem, and even in the Babylonian, all the way forward and you're looking at this line of thought, this line of the understanding of divinity. And as you move forward in the line of thought from Templars to Rosicrucians to Masons to Freemasonry and the Cathars and Cistercians, you see branches from this line of thought, but you see kind of the main truths that keep emerging, and they're repeatable. The symbols aren't isolated. It's through diffusion, not through independent origination, that you see these symbols, and that makes a big difference.
Well,
so
what's really cool too is, besides the symbols, there's that stamp of Einsatzstab's
Rosenberg's division,
organization, which sort of denotes some connection, at least, with Otto Rahn, who, if people don't know, was a young archaeologist who was hired, I think it was by Himmler.
Yes.
And it was my understanding from some of Otto Rahn's writing that when he was first hired, he just needed a job, and he didn't realize exactly who he was working for, that he was working actually for the Nazi Party until later. But, you can't really say no either. Yes. But he was a young guy, and he was in search of these holy relics, in particular, the Holy Grail, but I would imagine, the treasures of the Temple of Solomon, any of those treasures that, Adolf Hitler and others were kind of obsessed with.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So that connection right there, that stamp.
Do you have a picture of that stamp? Can we show that picture? Did I send you the picture of the stamp?
Interesting, I believe.
And I would love to talk about it for a minute if we could.
Oh, I hope I can find the right one. These are so tiny. Nope.
Oh, no, that's one of them.
Was it one of the first ones you sent? Because I kind of sent them in order.
That's all right. I can talk about it, and then I can tell you which one. Let me go into that file real quick. Let's see here. The Rosenberg.
I know I got it.
Yep, you should have gotten it.
I mean, I know I loaded it in, so it should be here.
Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it for a minute while we're looking for it. It should be number 6, Renee. Slide number 6. It's called Rosenberg. And so when we look at the Rosenberg stamp, which this is Rosenberg's division, his army division's stamp, his whole division in the Nazi army was to pillage museums, was to pillage Masonic lodges, was to pillage churches, was to pillage and keep any religious artifacts that they found. So they would move into different territories and take whatever Hitler wanted in the way of religious artifacts. Now, as you know, Hitler was obsessed with religious artifacts, especially the occult. So the stamp, actually, there it is in the corner. You see it?
Yep.
And that stamp there is the stamp of the division of the Nazi army under Rosenberg. So when you look at that stamp and you're like, okay, he actually had, and there was a set of books. He had the books. It lends credence to, my God, that means the Nazis had the books and whatever knowledge was in the books, but maybe didn't know how to understand it or decode it or what they were looking at. It would seem they would, but a lot of it was, or so I'm vetting now. And you had a gentleman on your show a couple of weeks ago named Jake Roberts. And he's a good friend of mine, and we're looking at Masonic codes and Bixonian codes and things of that sort. It would seem like some of what's in the book is coded. In fact, there's a portion of the book which has 8 lines of code, and it's a base 7 code that Jake is helping me decode. So we know it's coded. We know that's coded, and the Nazis most likely did not know what they're looking at.
It's so interesting that it's obviously it was in the hands of that group.
Yes.
But yet you ended up getting it from Israel. Like, yes. How did it get back?
Well, I bought it from the state, from the grandson of his grandfather who passed away. He was a relics hunter, okay, a Jewish relics hunter from Israel. And so somehow he acquired these after the Nazis had them in their hands. And I don't know, we're still vetting a lot of this. This is very fresh research, so Court and I and Gretchen Cornwall and Jake and my friend Alexandra Navigardi and Jeff Freeman. And I have others that I'm constantly talking to the researchers of Oak Island because I'm vetting a lot of this material, which I think is relevant to Oak Island. So we're constantly going back and forth. And so you're seeing this vetted. We're trying to fill in all the pieces. So this is a research work in progress. And some things I can comment on, some things are still being vetted. And that's just where we are in the process. But I don't want to make a claim unless I fully vetted the material. That would be the responsible thing to do.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
It's outstanding what we've seen so far, and to understand that the Nazis had these in these positions, it just kind of really blows me away.
Now, maybe we should describe exactly, what the book is, and what it sort of evokes, or invokes you to do. It's a book of liturgy.
That's one of them, yes.
And oh yeah, that's right. There's
several of them, and several many images that have accompanied the books, and also with the books came some coins that were from the 1600s during the Age of Exploration, a bag of about 30 coins, which I've also had to vet, and it's just interesting. Why would a set of coins from the Age of Exploration accompany these books? They must be relevant. They've always been with the books. And so I've been told. And so I think whoever had the books and the coins paired them together because there was significance, which puts me into the Age of Exploration.
Maybe it's obviously referring to a time period or maybe not obviously, but
1450 to 1650 is kind of the hot time period for me.
Yeah. And now, do you know what the source of the books were when the gentleman from Israel got them? Was it just another collector, or did he reveal any of that?
We as far as we know, and again, this is painstaking work. We believe that he had gotten them from whatever was recovered from the Nazis after the war, like he somehow inherited them from wherever. Before that, we know the books were in the hands of Mary of St. Peter, Marie of St. Peter, which I think you also have a slide of her.
Yeah.
So it's Marie of St. Peter, and there she is. Now she owned the books, and the reason I know that is because one of the books has her signature, which is up in the center. Now the video we just showed has a much closer image of that signature. So we've matched the signature. So we know she had them at one point. Now,
and she was located where? In Tours, France?
Tours, France, about 150 miles outside of Paris. So we know it's in
some connection with her to Notre Dame de Paris Cathedral, or is that connection made in the book?
That connection is made in the books. Actually, you also have an image of Notre Dame that was also sketched into the books. But having said that, I'm going to stick with Sister Marie for a second, and then okay. So Sister Marie was a Carmelite nun from 1816 to 1848. She lived in Tours, France. She had a vision. Okay, she had several visions between 1844 and 1847. The visions were of the Holy Face. Okay, and in one of the visions, Christ tells her, "Those who contemplate the wounds of my face here on earth shall contemplate it radiantly in heaven," is kind of the quote. Now, what's interesting about what she does is she founds this order and devotion to the devotion of the Holy Face, which was eventually approved by Pope Leo and the 13th in 1885. What's significant about it is that she was a Veronica Vale person. That's part of the Arma Christi, which Court Lindahl and I have talked about. The Arma Christi being the holy relics of Christ. So here you have books which make reference to the Arma Christi that the Nazis had. And we also know, based on the signature you saw, that Sister Marie of St. Peter, or Sister Marie of de la Paris of Tours, had the books also. Now, from that time to the Nazis is kind of what we're vetting right now to try to come up with the
Seems like
lineage.
she had it, and they possibly got hold of it, right?
Well,
The area of time.
we know that DuPont, one of the DuPonts, was involved also with Sister Marie. Now, at some point, these books, and here's what Court and I have pieced together, have made it into a Masonic library or lodge, is what we're speculating. So when the invasion of Paris happens, Rosenberg's division sacks the Masonic lodge and confiscates, of course, all the books, because at this point you can't have a Masonic lodge subversively sending messages back and forth and undermining the Third Reich. It's not going to happen. So they have to control everything, including the Masons.
Yeah.
So I'm currently reading this book called The Red Triangle, which is about anti-Masonic sentiment during the Nazi regime. It's a fascinating book, but so much of this had to go underground and into this coding method. And, it's just interesting that some of the codes that we see here are codes that have been used all the way back to the time of Bacon. So it shows a lineage to me.
Yeah, which takes us back to Jason's material.
Takes us back to Jason's material. Now,
I tell you, it's all connected up, and I have, no doubt that what I'm going to be talking about the next hour will have some connection with some of this too.
Oh, it already does, and
it's all connected. It's so crazy.
It's all connected.
Insane, but it is.
But you have to remember, the line of thought doesn't change. Okay, the incarnation, the time, the geography may change, but as far as Masonic thought, Templar thought, pre-Templar thought, Rosicrucian thought, Cistercian thought, Catholic thought, it all is the same line of thought. And it really has to do with divinity within, which, when you talk about divinity within, well, that's heresy, and according to the Vatican, during the days of the Inquisition, you couldn't have a rival understanding of God. You had to get to heaven or God through the institution of the church. That's just how it was.
Yeah. Religion has been pretty rough.
Yes, it has. So it's just interesting to watch how this line of thought, and so the books, and I've included other things in my pictures, but the books are rich with this symbology. They're rich with symbols and icons, and even have some alchemy written in them, which I find fascinating, because the person, and this is, and I keep going with vetting the books, and Court and I have been back with vetting the books, and Gretchen Cornwell and I, and Jake Roberts and I, and others who have shared this information with, have gone back and forth on the authenticity of the books, because, are they real? Are they fake? What's going on? But the reason that Court and I really believe that they're authentic, one, you have the signatures and you have the stamps and everything else. Two, if it's Masonically based, in order to even try to attempt to make a book like this, you have to have a working knowledge of Masonry or Freemasonry or Rosicrucianism or alchemy, and to see all the books with those type of symbols tells you that the person that encoded them had a working knowledge of it. And it's not an elementary working knowledge either. Some of those codes in there are advanced codes. And you really have to have a working knowledge. That leans credence to me.
Explain a little bit about how what you find in the books, particularly with some of the markings and things, lead you from one place to another.
Well, if you could bring up one of the pictures, I'll tell you the slide. But it's interesting. The book starts, as you saw on the video, starts in Jerusalem. And the slide I would like you to bring up, let me get to my slides real quick, is number 12. Okay, and this is just an example.
And what is the picture of?
Notre Dame of Paris.
Okay.
So
it's hard to see these.
There it is.
Notre Dame de Paris. Okay.
Yeah. And so the images start in Jerusalem, okay? And then they move from church, the Abbey of Dormation, Notre Dame, and other churches and holy sites, all the way up to a famous island off Nova Scotia eventually. So there are a series of maps, a series of images like the one you see here, of churches and holy sites, and it's almost like it was a path of initiation, or a path of enlightenment, where you start in Jerusalem and end up on an island off the coast of Nova Scotia.
That is crazy.
It's crazy. But what's even crazier is not only did the encoder include these symbols and these places, what are pilgrimages, they're pilgrim points. During the traveling from Europe to the Holy Land and back during the time of the Templars, there were stopping points, safety points that you would stop at, and every one of these stopping points was at one point in Templar hands. And so the question is, how old is the knowledge that's in this, or these volumes and images? How old is that? And that's what we're really trying to vet, because my question about the books is, where in the line of thought of Templar, Cistercian, Rosicrucian, Mason, Freemason, speculative Masonry of Francis Bacon, where is the information coming from, and how far back does it go? My suspicion is that it predates the Templars. Okay. And I think this information has been, as any line of thought, has been passed on through families, secret societies, nobility in the houses of France, which is a lot of what Gretchen Cornwall has done in her vetting. So we're seeing these images and symbols, and we're seeing them continually repeat and reincarnate in different places. So when a pattern is repeatable, and it's repeatable over and over and over again, there's something to it. And then there's another layer. The second layer is the esoterica, the truths, which Court brings up all the time. Philip Sidney's Arcadia, where you see references to an island, where there's a treasure and a money pit, and things of that sort. And and the whole Arcadian theme, which comes up over and over and over again, and memento mori, and different themes that come up over and over and over again. To what extent? Why are these repeating themes? Why are these treasure stories constantly repeated, and they keep pointing to the same place, and the information keeps pointing to the same place, with maps ending up, showing something being off the coast of Nova Scotia.
Off the coast of Nova Scotia. Now, let me ask you this. If whatever it was there, do you think it's still there?
That is the $64,000 question.
I think things were being moved around a lot.
Well, where I'm referring to. I'm sure our listeners do.
Of course, you're referring to Oak Island.
Oak Island, Nova Scotia. Now, what's brilliant about the books is there's actually, and I'm not going to disclose it tonight, but I will disclose it to you in the future. It's going to be a part of a book that Gretchen Cornwall and I are working on, which we've named the magnum opus for now. But we are going to be showing those, and we'll come on and show you and your viewers, obviously, and listeners. Yeah. But what's interesting about it is this particular map in one of the books and images, shows it starting from Jerusalem with a boat, and then heading down, and then eventually ended up on Oak Island, with a specific point on Oak Island that's marked. This is what we're trying to vet. This is why I'm not going to show it yet, because I need to vet it. And this is where Jake Roberts comes in, and Court comes in, and Gretchen comes in, Jeff Freeman comes in, Alexander Navigardi, and these are all my Oak Island friends that were all theorists. And we're trying to, it takes a village. So we're trying to pull our resources together to really solve this mystery once and for all. No. I can't do it by myself. No one can.
Oh no! Oh my! It's just too much.
It's too much.
Too many threads and layers. Now, are you of the mind that the Cremona document, the map, was authentic? I know it's controversial, and I'll tell you this much: I don't have a solid opinion myself. I knew Zena Halpern. And she was a love. I, loved her to bits. And I know good and well that Zena believed in it. she's not the kind of person that would have
Sure.
tried to pull something off. However, she could have been, fooled about it.
Sure.
So you hear a lot of talk both ways. What do you think about it?
Well, let me back up and answer a couple questions and fill in some background. I will answer that question. Okay.
Okay.
The question, first of all, is the Xena map real? And I think it is. Okay. My map is commensurate with the Xena map. Okay. In a lot of ways. My map and maps and things in the books are coded in Bixonian, simple, reverse cipher, things that Masons would use. Cipher. Let's just say cipher from the Elizabethan
Simple
period.
for you, maybe.
Well, I'm not the expert. Jake Roberts is the expert, but again, I pull from my friends and we exchange this, and we're going to get this solved. So you had to have a working knowledge to make the Xena map. You have to have a working knowledge to make the maps in the book. Okay, you have to have a working knowledge of the lineage of thought, Masonry, backwards and forwards, and you have to have that tradition. A lot of it's coded the same way the 1723 Constitution, Anderson's Constitution of Freemasonry, was coded, and the First Folio. So those codes are sitting in the books. And Xena's map, I suspect, and Jake and I are kind of vetting that with some of the stuff I have, are coded in the same way. Now if
how many books do you have?
Let's just say I have several, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
And are there still others that you want to acquire that match up with those?
I am in contact with the estate. And as things become the surface, because it's a rather large estate from my understanding, I do make offers and things and try to acquire what I can.
But to things that you feel are related to the same.
Yes, I vet it. I'm sending pictures of them or items, and I vet them. And if I think they have intrinsic value to the mystery of possibly where the Arma Christi is buried, or relics of Christ, or any one of the relics of Christ, or the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail. Well, yeah, I'm going to take a look at it. And if it's something that intrigues me, I'm going to acquire it. That's just how it is. Wow. I don't want to give exact numbers at this point or what relics I have, because it's still being vetted. I think that's a fair and responsible statement to say.
Okay.
I keep I don't even keep them in the house. I had to go past the place where I'm keeping this and fetch it out of its security box. And so, it's just, yes. Yeah. But, these are so, I think they're so important that, I don't like keeping them in the house.
No,
because of and as you can see,
gosh, you could have a fire. Anything.
This is very. I mean, just opening the book is they're extremely fragile.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not that big a book. You can see it almost looks like the Grail diary from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I mean, it's a tiny book. Easily you could easily smuggle this out of a place.
Yeah.
With the information tucked inside, the sketches are quickly done. They're detailed sketches, but you're not talking someone that's sitting there for hours on end, stylizing these. We know that the information went in the books pre-1890 was our best guess, because it was quill and ink. It wasn't pen. The ballpoint pen was 1890, and we don't think the Nazis put them in at this point. So we're thinking at some point during Sister Marie's lifetime or before. But it has to be after 1764. That's the earliest book I own. So anywhere from 1764 to the late 1890s is when I think the information went into the books.
I think. Do you know when they left her hands, or was that basically when Rosenberg came in and sacked everything?
I think Rosenberg sacked them from a Masonic temple. I think Court's right, and Court's been vetting this for me. What's interesting about it is that the Masonic symbols would indicate that they were in Masonic hands. They had to be in Masonic hands at some point. So we know they weren't in Masonic hands when Sister Marie of St. Peter had them. Okay, so it had to be from her death to the time that the Nazis had them. So that's when I think the symbols went in, or The symbols went in before she acquired them. But it's interesting that she was involved with the Holy Face of Jesus, or Veronica's veil. Now, as you know, the Templars were rumored to have had the Shroud of Turin, and carried around in a box, where you would just see the Veronica's veil image. Now that's alleged. We don't know that for sure, but back to your Crimean document, what was that? Is that real? Do you think it's real?
Do I think it's real?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I wouldn't know. I don't know. I totally believe Xena,
Yes.
but I don't necessarily think that she couldn't be fooled. I mean, I think anybody can be fooled under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
So I just don't know, and that's not. Well, I was going to say it's not my forte, but I don't really have a forte.
You asked about.
I like to talk to other people about their forte.
Sure. And the reason I ask is, if it's a fake, then they had to have a working knowledge again of masonry.
Yeah, it's a fake for a reason. It's a fake for. I mean, some of these other things, like some of the documents that are associated, for instance, with the Rennes-le-Chateau mystery, I'm sure some of them are fake, but why? And who faked them? And what was the purpose? Because there's still something there to learn about, what it was they were trying to say or what it was they were trying to hide.
Well, let's walk down that road, okay? So, the Masons and the Vatican are not friends. Let's just say that. If you look at the actual Jesuit oath of office, mid 1500s, okay, it's scathing. It's the way they say they're going to kill Masons and Protestants. It's like a crime scene. If you've ever seen the Jesuit oath of office. Now that they came around during the Elizabethan period, and that 1450 to 1650 age of expiration on the Elizabethan period. What's interesting about that is, if the Vatican thought there was a dueling dogma out there, okay, a dogma that was not teaching Vatican beliefs or Vatican theology, but was teaching more of a ascendant master theology, a tree of life theology, or the teachings of Christ as the tree of life, or deep Jewish teachings, okay, that you didn't have to have a church or Vatican to reach heaven. That would be a problem for the Vatican.
Yeah.
Okay?
You must have their intercession. You can't go directly to your own.
And if you sin, you have to pay. If you sin, you have to pay your indulgence. So, when you talk about, are these documents real? Well, let's say they're not real, but they still have a purpose.
Yes.
They're anti-Vatican documents that are trying to portray a different narrative, an alternative narrative to divinity. And that could be their purpose.
Alternative to divinity?
An alternative version of divinity, or an alternative belief system to divinity.
Right.
Divinity is not up there.
Yeah.
Divinity is within.
Right.
The
Cathars, they had to be wiped out, obviously, because they were heretical, even though they called themselves Christians. They weren't the right kind. So
yes.
They had to be. Oh, and I love that you're coming to us directly from southern France there. I see.
Yes, Massagour, the last stronghold.
It's already daytime.
Thank you.
That's such a gorgeous background. Yeah, for those of you that are just listening and not watching, John's sitting, his background is a beautiful panorama of Montsegur in the background in South France.
So we have some other images that I would love to dive into. I would love to see image 11. And that's kind of where it's called the Holy Land. And that's an image that is found in one of the books.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you see it.
So what does it look like? Just give me a hint.
It's marked the Holy Land, and it has the actual menorah in the corner. A picture of the Jerusalem, yes.
Was it a drawing of the menorah, right?
Yeah, well, it was a drawing of a mountain very near to the Sea of Galilee, and
I'm
it
gonna find
has
a way to look at the pictures. Hold on. I
yes,
can pull
yes,
them up.
and it has a picture of the menorah. Now we know Napoleon invaded Israel at one time looking for the relics of Christ and didn't make it too far. We know others have looked for the relics of Christ through history, so it's just interesting that there's a notation in one of the books to the menorah itself.
I hope this is it. It's so hard to see. No, this is.
We can go through them. That's fine. We can go through them.
Oh, that looks interesting. Okay. Could it be this?
Nope.
I
But that's the
mean, I had it on the screen before.
You did, and we can stop at the images real quick. That's my Shakespearean image, and that's Freemason's simple cipher, and some of the stuff I'm working on with Jake.
With Jake, I was going to say that's another Jake.
Yeah. And so you see Notre Dame, and that's what one of the books looks like. That's the frontispiece of one of the books. Now, if you look at the frontispiece, and we can talk about this briefly, Gretchen Cornwall is convinced that that's blood on there. I am too. I'm going to have them analyzed for blood.
Oh my God!
I mean, do you see it all in the middle? It looks like someone, that's actual physical human blood in the book.
Blood drops.
Blood drops. Now, the question is, what are blood drops doing in a book that's coded with maps and images and symbols, putting us right outside of Oak Island, Nova Scotia? How important is the information? And if you see the sun right in the middle, just about 2/3 of the way down on the frontispiece,
Yeah.
that's a Masonic sun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Masonic symbols. There's also what do you want to say? Square and compass to the right down on its side. There was all sorts of names. And so we're sitting here, I'm going back and forth with my fellow researchers, and we're going through the names, we're going through the images, we're going through the Masonic symbols. And so we know these things were held by the Masons.
Now, that script, that hand script on the left side of the page, on the left page.
Yep.
Left page. Is that Old French? What is that?
It's Old French. Many of these books, like the map that we saw in the video, with the Sea of Galilee and the Holy Land, that's also written in French, Old French.
Old
so
French. Wow.
Now look at Zena's map was written in French, right? And this information is in French. A lot of it's in French, and so again, that points us to the Nazis rolling in and taking these books, but it's Old French, which makes a bit of a difference. What is it? What is it that these books contain that's so important? Now, you asked me a question. Do I think it's still in Oak Island? I'm going to go back and circle around some of the things I've been discussing here. I think there's something still in Oak Island. Okay? Do I think that because it's so complex. You have to have a working knowledge of all the symbols. You have to have a working knowledge of alchemy. You have to have a working knowledge of Masonic ritual. You have to have a working knowledge of the Book of Enoch. You have to have a working knowledge on the ancient Jewish Talmud and the Torah, and all the way back to Babylon. You have to have a working knowledge of the line of thought. When you start seeing the line of thought and things lining up over and over and over again, repeatable in the line of thought, then you understand its transmission and how it diffused. You have to have that knowledge in order to figure out what's on Oak Island. Now, go ahead.
One of these bloodline families or these secret groups who have literally passed down location knowledge to insiders that don't have to figure it out for themselves.
Yes, but they're not going to say, now are they?
But maybe they went and moved it, though, is all I'm saying. Or do you think there are things that would just be too difficult to get out without being...
I think there are certain things on that island that are still there. I think the complexity of the codes, the complexity of everything about that island would indicate that there's something there. Now, here's the question you need to ask yourself, and this is why I've asked many a person, Okay, and I run a live stream with Jeff Freeman. I'm a co-host for the Coast of Oak Island Beyond live stream, and we ask this every week when we have our viewers come in, and we analyze the show from the previous night. It's every Wednesday. We always ask our viewers, what is it that's so important that each of these organizations, each of these fraternities, each of these families keep visiting Oak Island?
Yeah.
You have the noble houses of France, which are involved. We know that. You have James II involved. We know that. And how do we know that? Because the symbolism and the activity in that area keeps pointing back to these families. We have the Rochecolds. I think they're actively involved. The Dominicis, I think they're actively involved in this. And I think these secrets are kept in those noble houses in France, especially in France, under wraps. This, whatever's on Oak Island, was never meant to see the surface, see the light of day. And I've had a Mason tell me that. John, what you have was never.
I mean, what good is having something that's just buried somewhere?
To protect it. And that's what I've been told. To protect it. I was told by a Mason, who I'm not going to disclose, but in my travels, after disclosing these pictures, these type of things were never meant to see the light of day, and the light has truly shined upon my face. Is what I exactly told that. And so, if it's the Ark of the Covenant, let's say it is the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, let's go down that rabbit hole. If it's been, and here's the exact question I was asked: if it's been safe all these years, do you really want it to come to the surface? And that was the exact question I was asked when divulging what was in these books. And he goes, if it's been safe all these years, John, you really have to ask yourself an ethical question. Now, I've wrestled with that for years. I've sat on this information for years, and finally came to the conclusion that that's not my decision to make. My decision, I as any researcher, the fallacy of researchers, they hoard information. They don't work as a team. Everyone's trying to get published or this, that, and the other. And really, if we start to share information, and I've looked at all the researchers' other information, and I'm starting to see a pattern that is the same in almost every researcher that has something to say about the subject. And why do those patterns keep coming up in different research modalities, in different research mediums? And that's what makes this fascinating. When I'm seeing other researchers like Court or Gretchen coming up with the same information, Gretchen did a lot of research on the noble houses and the fish symbol, and did a fantastic job with it. Now, the fish symbol can come from the hand of mystery and forward. There's so much of it that's esoteric. And any symbol, a good symbol, is pragmatic and it's symbolic. It could be a signature, but it also could have a symbolic meaning. Religious structures, same way. Symbols, same way. Oak Island, same way. Pragmatic and symbolic. And if you understand the symbols and you understand the esoteric, you'll know right where it is. And the place I thought it was is exactly the place that the map in the book showed me, which is also a place on Zena's map, which is also a place that Jake Roberts has been vetting. And, there's a certain area on that island which they haven't dug yet. And I personally think that that's where the relic or relics are.
Yeah.
Now the Nazis had this, and we know, I've been doing research again. The Nazis had U-boats all up and down, Nova Scotia. There are U-boats that are found wreckages. So, maybe that's just nothing. Maybe that's just coincidence. But again, I'm not trying to make parallels that aren't there. I'm just saying these are the facts. This is what the books are telling me. This is what the research is telling me. You're seeing it in other places. You see it's hidden in architecture. It's hidden in works of art. It's hidden in the books. It's hidden in stories like Philip Sidney's Arcadia. It's the same message. Why?
Yeah.
Just because it's an esoteric teaching, or is there something more to it?
Wow.
And that is the question.
It's so interesting, though, and there's so much more, to come from it. So
yeah.
I can't wait until documentary comes out.
It's amazing. And I misspoke. It's not the Crimean. It's the Corona document. I misspoke earlier. But the Corona document is for me. Yeah. Corona. Thank you. I'll get it. Cremona. I got it. Okay. Cremona document. The Cremona document to me is a real document.
Okay.
It is something that I think may be anti-Vatican sentiment, but it has a purpose.
Yeah.
And all these things have a purpose. This book has a purpose. And just to show you, I mean, just like you saw, there it is. There's the blood splats and everything else within the book, and it's real. You can see it's very fragile.
They could still determine whether or not that's blood. Should be able to, wouldn't they, or no?
They should be able to determine. I'm going to have it tested. I mean, it's a simple cotton swab on a portion of the book, and I can turn if it's. I mean, you can see. I mean, just at the top of this, you can see the blood stains in the book. I'm not sure if you can see that.
Wow.
But, so what was so valuable that these books need to be smuggled out wherever they were? And I still think it goes down the source material. Zena's map, documents, these books all came from a source in the France, maybe even the south of France. It all comes from the same source material. And the question is, where is the source material? And we all have copies. This pattern keeps repeating itself. And
we're getting ready to have to go to break. But before you go, how can people find you, John?
I think I have.
What time is your podcast, and where can they see it?
Okay. You should have a slide, but it's you can see it on JFree906 on YouTube.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're there every week. They can reach me at templartruth2@gmail.com if they're interested in any of what I've said tonight. We also have a live stream Beyond Our World, which we talk about, disclosure, UFOs, things of that sort. That's kind of a Sunday evening type of thing that we do. Very very reminiscent of the 1950s radio that they used to have, where you sit around and you can find me there. I'm also working on a book with Gretchen Cornwall, as you know, and you can find her at GretchenCornwall.com. You're going to update, she'll update where the book is every couple of weeks. And so you'll see a lot of this information, especially images from these books and that as we vet them. And then, of course, Court and I are doing a documentary that I'm privately funding for now about the books.
We got to go. So. I'm sorry. I'm getting the hook. But, stay tuned with us. Thank you so much, John Edwards. Everybody,
not a problem.
If you can't find John, hit me up. I'll put you in touch. And stay tuned because we got Justin Cannady coming up with another revelation, a very important one for the New World in the United States of America. Hang in there with us.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button, so just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
Hi, welcome back to Night Vision. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, Renee Barnett. We just finished the first hour with an exciting story and full of revelations from John Edwards and his incredible book, books, a collection of items, actually, that he has discovered. And they seem to have a lot of significance in terms of possibly, a lot of esoteric information, possibly the Holy Grail, and more is yet to come because there will be a documentary coming out of this because it's a lot of information. But next, we have another guest who is a treasure hunter and a researcher, and he came by something absolutely amazing, but in an even more amazing way. So I'm going to introduce you right now to Justin Cannady, coming to us all the way Sweet Home, Alabama.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Now, this story begins with I guess like a garage sale, flea market, where someone that a close family friend, purchased a box of old antique fishing lures. And I guess that's why he bought the box in the first place. Now, what was that time lapse between the time that box was purchased by your friend's dad and then you actually came into possession and found what you found?
Oh, my buddy's dad, he was went to a flea market in 1967. So it was like 1967. So like he was a life insurance salesman. He was just traveling around. He stopped by a flea market. He collected old fishing lures, and he walked by this box. It was like a little tackle box made out of iron or whatever. And so he kept it, and it stayed around, laid around in the shop till about 90, 91 or so. And hauling off scrap, the box got tossed in the back of a truck. And exposed a secret compartment in the bottom of the box with a rolled up piece of paper sticking out. The rolled up piece of paper was stuck to the drawstring of a leather bag. The other drawstring had an Egyptian handle tied to it with hieroglyphics on it.
Jeez.
Off some type of box. It had a hole all the way through it.
Yeah.
So we pull a piece of paper out and unroll it, and it's a Declaration of Independence signed by John Hancock, a Dunlop broadside. So, it was just kids and kind of, it just kind of lay dormant for a long time. My buddy's dad passed away in like 96 or 97. And so I always curious. I run into my buddy again. I ain't seen him in years, around to like 2000 or so. And I was like, what did you do with that old declaration we found with his kids? He said, I hadn't even thought about it since my dad died. And so it just kind of, I was like, well, let me try to sell it. I want to try to sell it. And so we kind of went in thirds on the document. And so I started doing all this research, and I started, just kind of looking up stuff. And I come across this story called the Bill Treasure from Virginia, where they used some kind of Declaration of Independence to cipher out this code. Because essentially, when we started getting like looked at and stuff like that, it was brought to my attention that it had like these ragged edges across the top, had holes cut in it, altered letters when some of the letters were removed. And like one of the main problems was like the paper was correct. It was rag wool paper. It was iron gall ink. It was typesetted, so it had indented letters from where, it got pressed into it.
Right.
So, it went on this authentication type deal. Well, it had these alterations that were done to it that were purposely put there. And like you can see some of the paper fibers when you magnify it, that were some of the stopping points crossed up where they tried to stop and they went past the stopping point. So you can tell somebody had cut some of the spots on there. And so I was like, I had to have an explanation for all that before I can move forward on anything else. And so I started I come across that story about the Bill Treasure. So I'm like, I'm just a curious guy. So I just started, looking up stuff and trying to figure out, it's a cipher. So I started numbering the Declaration of Independence. And it was probably like a couple years into it, just messing around with it, trying to figure stuff out. And I'm sitting there trying to do the cipher like everybody else. And the National Treasure commercial comes on. And it was the
right on time.
Or the TiVo just come out at the time, and you can rewind the television. So I'm sitting there on the table, got everything laid out. I'm sitting there numbering stuff and doing this and that, and all of a sudden the commercial comes on. There's a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence. I was like, what did he just say? I rewound it on television. He said it again. I said, I never even thought about a map. And sure enough, there's like all these handprints on the back of it, and the jagged edges across the top was like 3 or something. Like you can just, it's like the Goonies, you line it up with that. But I didn't know what any of it meant. And I was, at the time, I've never been to past Tennessee. You know what I mean? Like I was always just a local guy, and I was like, so I made some little connections there, and I went up there and I failed about 4 or 5 times, and I come back, and then all of a sudden I made a big connection about I figured out what mountains were after visiting the area several times. I figured out what those mountains were being shown, and once I figured out one of those mountains, I applied that mountains to the handprints, and I started they was using the handprints as topo maps. So you get a side view, you get a top view, and so they had all these maps that take you exactly to the spot. And so to get to the spot was easy. I've been in the same spot for 10 years. I figured out how to get there. But getting in was a whole nother challenge. So that's just something I've been facing for a while now, just getting inside. So, but I found all kinds of carbons and rocks.
Or what state the place is in, or do you not want to even say that?
Excuse me?
Do you want to say?
Oh, it's in Virginia. Yes, it's in Bedford County, Virginia.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Another Beale connection, I guess.
Oh, it is, exactly. Yeah. So after the National Treasure movie, I put a black light on it and found the initials TJB, the same way that guy who signed the letters on the Beale Treasure, TJB, your dearest friend, TJB. And it was the same initials on there. So when you read the letters in the Beale papers, it tells you like, all of this is unintelligible without aid of a key to assist you. Such a key I left in the hands of a friend in this place, sealed, signed, endorsed. See, it's signed TJB, endorsed John Hancock. Like, it's got to meet all the key criteria to be the real Beale key. And just so happened that I made a connection and figured out all the maps. And to me, the maps are just as important as a treasure. To me, the Declaration's a treasure.
Yeah. Has anyone like an antiquarian, document expert or anyone looked at it and authenticated it? Or have you just kind of kept it hidden away?
No, I've had it checked out because I was kind of skeptic on taking it to like government officials or anything like that. I was just trying to keep it to myself. It took it to people that was like experts in paper and paper making processes and, or beating around the bush and calligraphers and how inks react to various papers and, and had the ink test, just different little side tests that you can do. But yeah, it's been authenticated by several experts and they're suggesting that this is possibly the birth certificate of America. See, the Declaration of Independence wasn't really the one with all the signatures, wasn't signed on July 4th. It was signed on August 2nd, 1776. But on July 4th, John Hancock supposedly signed this fair copy of broadside. So, everything's okay. It's submitted, and we'll sign off on it for 200 more copies to be printed. And they sent them out to all the different colonies or whatever. But the original one was signed by John Hancock, and it's missing until now. Now this is the very, very first one on July 4th. He signed one of them, and this is the one that he signed. It's like the holy grail of American freedom.
I'm going to show that signature. This is the signature that is on the document that you hold. Yep. It's John Hancock.
Yep, and you can't fake John Hancock's signature. You know what I mean? Like that's why they call it the John Hancock.
And that's amazing. Yeah, the most famous signature, at least in America.
Yeah,
because I remember my
and it's on the most important document in American history.
Yeah, my dad used to always say, when he would have someone sign, so put your John Hancock right there. It's like it was just everybody knew about that signature. So when you began to sort of think, wait a minute, this might be the real deal. I mean, how was that? You must have been like, were you like thinking, oh, I better put this away somewhere and keep it
Well,
away?
I was always in thirds on the document, and I kind of was going to get my own little show doing this and that, and then all of a sudden, kind of find out my declaration's gone. My buddy had sold it. It was in thirds on to some random guy in New Jersey, and then I ended up purchasing it from that guy. I figured out who bought it. I went to that guy, and he ended up selling it to me cheaper than what he paid for it.
Oh my God.
And like he felt like I was a rightful owner of it, and was aware of my need for it, and was expecting my call. And
Oh
so
my
he's like a hero in my book, So he ended up selling it back to me. As soon as I got it, I took it to DC, and I had this stuff called hyperspectral analysis done on it, like hyperspectral imaging or whatever. And they shoot like these different light spectrums on it, and all the inks react to various lights, and they check for watermarks. And that guy, he scanned all the declarations in existence. So he overlaid mine on top of that one. And like it was a perfect match. It lined up perfectly. And said the paper's correct. The letters are indented properly. It's like, it comes from John Dunlap's printing press.
Wow.
100%.
Oh my goodness. That is amazing.
And that's how I got in possession of it, and how I now own it now.
Yeah. So well, wait a minute. You said it was in thirds.
I was in thirds with my friend and his mother.
Oh, with your friend and his mother. So
yeah, but they went ahead and just decided to sell it.
Oh,
to some random guy. But the thing was, they acted like they still had it, and kind of hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? They knew how much it meant to me.
Oh my goodness! Why didn't they just give you a chance to buy them out? I wonder. Do you know why they didn't just offer it to you to buy them out rather than?
I have no idea. Like, I guess he really wasn't my friend. I don't know.
But thank goodness that person that bought it.
Oh man, thank God. Yes.
Because that could have been crazy. Now, have you had anyone? I mean, how well known is it that you have this?
It's not very well known. I keep to myself. I've talked about it a little bit, but nobody really pays me no attention for real. I live in a little town with one red light. So it's like I'm just in the middle of nowhere.
That sounds like the town I grew up in. We had one red light. There's still one red light in that town.
Yes, ma'am.
But that's the, small town life. But yeah, and two, always in your own, where you grew up in your little town, people don't tend to take each other that seriously because they think, oh, why would he have that? Or what, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Or he probably thinks that, but, he doesn't know because they just can't imagine, themselves coming across something like that. Because
right. I always talk about it around here because, a prophet's never heard in his own town. So I just, I always talk about it, and everybody's like, why don't you talk about that? I was like, it's just my testimony, I'm just spreading my testimony because one day they'll remember.
Yeah. One day they'll say, oh yeah, I remember something about that now. But
yes,
I think it's amazing because I kind of feel like, some museum or some, agency or something, if they really knew about it, would want to.
They'll probably be calling me tomorrow after the show.
And have you had any way to have it valued? I mean, really, it's like,
to me, it's priceless. You know what I mean? Like, for every map I found, and I found multiple maps on there. Like, how do you value the birth certificate of America, the Holy Grail of American freedom, and treasure maps to possibly the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail? So, you know what I mean? How do you value that?
Yeah.
There's no way to put a value on that to me. So to me, it's priceless, and I don't know if I'll ever sell it. If I find the treasure, I'll probably keep it.
Yeah. What's interesting too is that, the people that would probably be most interested in it, I would think, would be people that, were interested in historical documents.
Sure.
Of course, the Declaration of Independence being the most historical document in our
Right.
country. But not necessarily anyone that would be thinking about those maps or anything. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, experts have looked at it. Experts looked at it, and they never really seen any maps. And even the guys who scanned it never really seen any maps. They didn't really show them or anything. But they, seeing if they picked up on anything. But with their scanning, I found the location. To several more different things. That I got to check out too that I never paid attention to. That help me because they specialize in seeing like invisible stuff too. And there's a lot of like invisible writing. I guess I don't know. I read about something about Thomas Jefferson's brother, and I don't know about invisible ink and how they used to send these letters. And you have to apply heat to them or something.
Yeah, there was something like that where
I think when I bought it,
and the heat,
when I bought it from that guy in New Jersey, and he flew it back, it was so hot that it kind of like activated some of that ink, and I can see stuff on there now that I never could see before. I'm not sure, you know what I mean? Like it was like it got activated or something, and now there's more stuff on there. So yeah, it's gotten really exciting here lately.
That is really wild. So he actually had possession of the document that you owned 1/3 of at one time.
Yes, ma'am.
They actually gave him possession of it. That's weird. I don't know why they wouldn't at least say, well, do you want to sell your part or do you want to make us
it wasn't that much. And it wasn't that much. And then I was like, where did it go? And he wouldn't even tell me. So, it's like I was just in limbo. And miraculously, I got the information from somebody else that had done some snooping for me. And they're another hero in my book. You know what I mean? I got all these heroes that played parts in my book,
Yeah, absolutely. So these tears and things on the paper that you're talking about, cuts and things, does that like denote like a mountain range or some kind of landscape, or is it something else? Oh, okay.
Like it's all like mountain. Once you get to the spot, only where they want you to stand and line it up purposely. You know what I mean? They got ways to show you that. And I wish I could show you. It's really awesome how they put it all together. But I'm right in the middle of a treasure hunt, so,
And I mean, it's interesting because, of course, if there was no maps on it at all, it would still be a spectacular thing.
Oh, yeah. It's unreal. It's unreal. It really is.
I wonder why they chose to put it there. Is it because I wonder maybe they thought it would always be preserved because it was an original Declaration of Independence, and therefore it would be kept safe and, probably in a frame somewhere, and no one would really ever see the back unless maybe that you knew something was back there. And
or maybe the treasure is what give them the idea of democracy. You know what I mean? Maybe the whole thing's around the whole treasure itself. Who knows? All I can do now is speculate until I can open it up.
Yeah. Now, this location that you've been to, do you keep making trips back there? It's so you go back and continue to look.
Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned something to me on the phone about sometimes, when you go to that site, some kind of weird things happen. Could you talk a little bit about that? We didn't get into too much detail on the phone because I wanted to hear it for the first time on the show.
I mean, it is a paranormal type site. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but there's a lot of strange suggestions going on. And I've heard some, I've had different people help me, and like everybody's witnessed something strange. And I went a lot by myself, and then to like this remote location. I'd hike in every day like a job. Me and my wife and my daughter moved to Virginia, and we stayed for like 3 months and just stayed up there. And I went up there every day except one day a week. I'd take them to do something fun, but every day I got in there and just walked up that mountain.
Working that
I
site.
dug and I working it, every day. So, yeah, I get up there and I've heard, like, I stuck a bar in the ground. And when I stuck the bar in the ground, I heard the earth moan. I heard it go like, oh.
Oh my
I felt it
God.
vibrate up the bar. I looked at my uncle and he's like, I got chill bumps. He said, you hear that? I said, what did it do? He went, oh. I was like, he still has a hard time talking about it. And I've experienced a lot of strange stuff. I heard I was up there and I was eating a peanut butter sandwich. It was a foggy day and there was no sun out. I was in the clouds, basically. I couldn't see out through the valley or nowhere. I was just in the clouds. And so I was sitting there about 11 o'clock. I was like, I'm going to eat me a peanut butter sandwich, take a picture of where I'm digging at and stuff, just to kind of I like to document everything. I'm documenting everything I've done. So I sit back, take a picture. And when I did, this beam of light shoots out of this rock and goes in this other rock. And it stares at me like the eye of Sauron off the Lord of the Rings. And it's just like just beaming at me. And I got my camera and my phone. I'm just start snapping pictures of it. Like, oh, what is that? And then it just went away. Like it didn't make no sound or anything. Just
How long did it last? I'm going to show a
I
picture
don't know. It felt like forever. I don't know, man.
Now
Yeah,
that
that's a picture. That's a picture right there.
star.
Look, you can tell it's not a ball of light. It's
No.
you know what I mean? It's fuzzy on the sides, but not on the top and the bottom where it's coming out and going in.
Right. It's like a beam.
It's like a beam. It's like an eyeball or something. I don't know. Like it was checking me out. But I don't know.
What did you? So I'm sorry. I'm just amazed at this. But how long did you say it lasted?
I mean, I really.
Well, you
It
had
felt like it felt like forever, but it probably was only like I don't know, 10 seconds. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like I don't know. It just was weird. A weird
10
experience.
seconds can be a long time,
Yeah,
sometimes.
like it felt like it lasted forever. I don't know.
And did you hear anything, feel anything?
I mean, you couldn't hear it, but you could feel its presence. I don't know. Like
And
I don't know. Just something paranormal. And I've experienced so much weird stuff that nothing really shocks me. You know what I did? I just went back down there and then just kept digging.
Yeah.
But that's when I was just trying to figure stuff out then. That's like a long time ago. And I was just looking in the wrong spot and I was just digging around. I was just I could tell you 300 places that there's treasure not buried,
Yeah.
I've dug a lot of holes.
But now,
that's how I'm a treasure hunter.
That place where that beam was, did you try to look in there or see if there was like anything stuck?
That rock right above it, it's got like out there that's got maps on it. And so I was like digging, and you can see all this stuff written on this rock, and it's got this arrow pointing. But I was just digging where the arrow was pointing at. And so I was just trying to figure out stuff because I'm not an expert. I'm not a treasure hunter for real. You know what I mean? Like I was just finding cool stuff and trying to figure things out and just curious guy.
Sure.
And, I was just failing and I'm getting close. And then I failed again, but I'd always make progress. And I feel like there's magic in not giving up, and now I've really say if I would walked up there and just dug it up, I wouldn't know as much as I know now. Like it's part of their game to fatigue me into compliance. So I'll know by the end of the thing what to do, when I open it up. I don't know, some kind of game. And I've just been playing it. It just so happened it's on the Declaration of Independence.
That is just crazy. I mean, either one of those two things would be astounding in themselves. An originally signed Declaration of Independence or a map to specific items and treasures, maybe. Either one of those things in themselves are just like mind-boggling. But I wonder, okay, so now when you finally acquired the document, got it in your hands and started really looking at the maps and all that and going out, it's like, how many times would you say you've been to that site?
I've been at that site for over 13 years.
Wow. So this is your magnificent obsession.
Yeah. It was a hobby. I love the outdoors. I'm an adventurer. I love all kinds of outdoor activities. I love metal detecting and gold prospecting. And I'm just a curious guy, and I started seeing things. And I was like, nobody around me to see it, so I'm just going to have to go see for myself. And I'll just take pictures of what I find and prove to everybody that I'm right. So I just kept doing it and doing it. And so, and every time I'd make a little progress, and I'd tell my wife, "Oh, I'm getting close, I'm getting close," and she was like, "You say it every time, and I do." But it's tough. It's hard to deal with me. I know it is.
Oh,
So.
I'm sure it is. I know.
I'm
I've
just
got
trying to do it for everybody. I'm just trying to do it.
I've got a lot of friends that are on the trail of one mystery or another, and
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, this one friend of mine who was a homicide detective inspector for Scotland Yard, and he retired and moved down to southern France with his wife so that he could keep up his searching and research and everything. And she was totally not into it at all. And I would always feel so sorry for her when a bunch of us would get together, either at their house or somewhere else, because we'd all just be yuck, 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 obsessing over our latest research or asking questions about what somebody found. And I always thought that must be the most boring thing in the world, if you're just not into it. And I always thought, she's so nice to put up with this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an amazing thing, and I mean, I think it's a real gift. Just to, even if you haven't found anything like what you have, that to have something that you're so interested in, to go after and to keep seeking out, and when you find new parts of it and then meet new people that have another piece of the puzzle, to me, that's the best. That's just the best. And I know I'm a big old nerd geek, but to me, there's just nothing better. So I totally get why you're doing what you're doing. And, not the least of which, you've got something there that is very amazing. I mean, in some ways, it's like I'm torn. I'd like to see it, on display somewhere.
I would too.
And another thing, I think, well, gosh, if it's on display somewhere, it's going to be, all the maps and everything are probably not going to be on display. And even if they were, nobody would know what it was.
Yeah, nobody knows how to use them for real. That's kind of. And once I showed you, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of failure to figure out how those maps worked, and it's like each time I figured out a little more, and it was hard to kind of distinguish because all the information is kind of vague because it's old and faded. And it's like woven paper almost. So when they wrote on it, like skipped across the top of the woven fibers on the high side, so it kind of like pixels now, little dots on there and stuff. And so it's really vague. So it's hard for me to make what was the information getting you to the site? What's the information at the site? What's the information of the getting in? What's the information once you get in there? You know what I mean? Like how to break it all down to using the information they got. And that's what I've been spending all these years doing, is breaking down all that information and putting it in where I could do a PowerPoint presentation on it. Like but it's unreal.
All this time, all this 13 years, have you been working with other people, or is that just something that you've sort of started doing, like consulting with people like Court and, whoever else in the mix? Have you had like a research buddy or someone to bounce everything off of all this time, or is that just something you've gotten into recently?
I mean, I just kind of got into that kind of recently, and I usually just keep to myself and just kind of do it. I'll bounce ideas, and I try to talk to people that's kind of interested in the same thing. But I don't know. Being a treasure hunter is tough,
Yeah, Yeah, I feel like that, if you had been working with people much, I probably would have heard about this already. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a clue about it until our friend Court Lindell told me about you. And
It's just a hobby that turned real, like it just become very real. And now it's a whole nother ball game.
And if you don't want to answer this question, I completely understand, but does your wife just kind of wish you would like sell it and go on with
Sell the document? I could still treasure hunt if I just sold it. Yeah, I probably could, but I don't want to cut myself short. Like
no.
every map I put on there is going to make it even more and more valuable. Like I don't know, like, and depending on what's in there, I don't even care if there's a bucket of nickels in there. You know what I mean? At least my map led me to the bucket of nickels. So
now,
but I got
are you thinking that there may be even more in the way of maps that you haven't quite discovered yet, which might have been, like you said, in invisible ink or in some other markings that you just haven't deciphered yet? Or do you think you've pretty much seen what's there?
Every time I go and every time I look at it, I can pick up the declaration anytime I want and make a new discovery.
Yeah.
There's that much information there. And once you start looking at something and you have so much information, it kind of like snow blinds you and you kind of get stuck on one thing and you kind of sometimes you got to step back because there's different kinds of information. You got close up information you look at from a little bit further away, and information you can see like that.
Oh my
God.
God.
There's like different layers of information on top of each other.
That is amazing. Well, I can't wait to sometime see all those things and how that works. It's like I'm so bad at being able to like see hidden things and stuff. It's like I know people that are really good at that. But I love it when someone's able to point it out to me. Then I can see it, and
Right.
that would be really interesting because I'd love to kind of get an idea of some of those tears and things, how that looks,
Right.
and how you figured out that was an actual mountain range or location. So now when you talk about the handprints, I guess I'm not clear on how does a handprint make a map? Can you tell me
like
that?
fingerprints or mountains. You ever looked at a top of a map with these like circles? And on the old maps, they're all drawn, as little circles with little lines coming off of it. That's how they drew mountains. And it looked just like fingerprints. So they somehow utilize fingerprints and turn them in. Once I got the information at the top, you just apply it to the handprints, and this is.
I sure would love to know whose fingerprints those are.
I mean, I would love to know if they were, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin. It's hard, it could be anybody's.
Yeah, I guess they weren't fingerprinting people back in those days.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been like in the early 1900s, I think, when they started doing fingerprints, or maybe the late 1890s.
Mm-hmm.
Fingerprints started being utilized for identification. But yeah, that would be cool. Ooh, be cool to know if there was any gettable DNA on and you could see, like the family line, even though we don't know that person's necessarily DNA, if we could prove their relationship to whoever the DNA, that family line, it might hint. That would be really cool. And I don't.
I'm going to show you. Here's a little glimpse.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you get in there. Let's see.
Yeah, just hold it straight up.
So I'm just going to hold it up and kind of see all the little. I won't put too much on there.
I see what you're saying now about. I wanted to see.
Look, I'm gonna glance this up at you. Ready?
Yeah.
See all that?
Oh my God! And that's the.
I can't break the real declaration out because I got a secured location.
Yeah,
but I got good copies and scans made. See, after I got it and had a hyperspectral analysis done, I had some like really good scans and replicas and all kinds of stuff made.
Now that couldn't really see it good, and I don't need to see it again because
No, that was just a little teaser, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to see
A little teaser.
what I was able to see, and that was the sort of around the border how they made the
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of scalloped a little bit, you know, and they give you
a little scalloped. And
yeah,
was that the back that you just flashed, or was that the front?
a front and a back.
Oh, okay. Were they both on there?
It was just two different pieces of paper. There's
Oh,
a front piece and a back piece, and I flashed the front first, and then the second.
See, that's good. You didn't give too much away because I didn't even know what I was looking at. I didn't know I wasn't looking at.
But you can see the handprints as it come by.
Yes. Now,
But yeah,
was there another image that you sent? Oh, yeah, it was the comparison. Can I show that, or is that not showable?
go for it. I don't care. It says it was just where they compared it to the Library of Congress's broadside.
Okay.
The white in the middle right there is the Library of Congress's. And for the spacing of the letters and the margins to be identical, kind of proves that it come from John Dunlap's printing press on July 4th. Because that's the only person that had that typeset box to lay out those little blocks to put them in there so they can roll the ink on it and press it into it because it's got indented letters and it's on ragwool paper. There's no watermarks like some of the 26 declarations in existence. Some of them's got watermarks and some of them doesn't. Some of them's got more than one. That's just like the paper manufacturer or something.
That matches up perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of
the dark on the outside's mine, the white in the middle is the Library of Congress.
Yeah, I'm joining the words up. They match perfectly, line by line.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
it might be off just a little because my declaration had been folded, so it's not laying perfectly flat on the table. But for the most part, and that's done to scale because that guy scanned all the declarations, so he done them all to scale, and he done that for me and just overlaid it on top of it.
Now that was a really cool thing to do. Yeah. Now, what did you say? I can actually, from this picture, see the sort of woven look of that original document of yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can see it's definitely woven ragwool paper. Time period. Ragwool.
So they made the paper out of wool.
I guess. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not familiar with. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So it was actually really fabric. I mean, it was actually woven.
It's woven. You can see the chain lines are very fine.
Can you imagine how could they weave that so tight like that at that time?
Paper makers.
I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Oh,
I've taken it to people that, are experts and, not experts in documents, but they're experts in paper and process of papers being made and the histories of papers. And it's their opinion that it was legit, like everywhere I went. The only problem I had was the tears and the holes. And they were saying that somebody purposely altered it, so it's not real. Yeah. And some people wouldn't even listen to it because everybody's like, probably 10 people in every town's got a Declaration of Independence, Yeah.
So, in the fact that you really didn't start working or, sharing much with others until fairly recently, there must have been some times when you just thought, I might be just losing my mind,
I never felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I was losing my mind because I couldn't figure out how to get inside and I couldn't figure out certain parts of it, but I never lost my mind that
you never thought,
I had a bunch
completely going down the rabbit hole here. This is,
I had a bunch of moments where like when you stay up there a long time, you get stuck on certain things when you step back. So I learned a long time ago to just go up there, dig a little bit, shoot a bunch of pictures, step back, analyze the information, take that information, evaluate it, and then boom, I'll make a little discovery. I'm like, oh, okay, there that is. And then I go up there and kind of figure something out, and it's just led me on this journey and this path, and I found all kinds of different things. I found Freemason carved in the rock, the compass in the square. You might even have a picture of it.
Oh.
And this
I don't think I do.
I had one of them that was marked out in yellow so you could see it.
Oh, I'm going to go look for that picture because I didn't get it. And is it not the signature?
No, it's just a picture of a rock. And one's got a yellow
that's
constant
right.
square.
There were two pictures. There were two. You know what? I'm going to grab the other one because I didn't realize there was a difference, except for one had like a writing on it or something.
Yeah, I just marked it where you could see the outline of it on the rock.
Oh, I got you.
And see, the way they carved it in there is oblique. So one side's kind of taller than the other side. So you have to stand at this one spot. If you stand looking straight on it, you can't even see it. But if you stand where they want you to, where the map shows you, you can see it.
I don't. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even seeing it.
It's no big deal.
Yeah, but I'm going to put that picture back up again of the rock because I just can't.
Oh, that's the beam of light.
Oh yeah, the beam of light.
Yeah,
that thing blows my mind.
Yeah, it was a very strange anomaly. I'm not sure exactly what that was.
Now I know you just,
but you know, you can feel the energy there. There's definitely something going on.
Did it feel like anything, kind of electrical at all, or like the air was, kind of buzzing or crackly or anything, or was it just more an internal feeling like, oh wow, this is something?
I mean, you can feel it like inside your internals, I guess. I don't know. Like it just I don't know. It's strange. It was just
in the air.
I was just eating a sandwich, trying just to take a picture, and it just shot out and was sitting there looking at me, and I just boop, 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 just started snapping them. So I really don't know. It was just very strange.
You were by yourself?
By myself on Saddle Mountain in bear country.
Thank God
I done seen bears. Done seen bears. I didn't even have a gun.
Oh my!
I'm just out there with a stick. I just got a stick with a point on it.
Thank goodness you had your camera, because it's like people say, I saw a beam of light going in a rock and out of into a rock and out of another one. He would have said, he's lost it for sure. So you got proof. That's good.
I got proof.
That's it. That is amazing. So, like, is that the only time that you had like a kind of a strange feeling or something happened? Or do you ever feel like when you're there that, you're kind of being directed or anything like that? I mean, I'm just hearing these stories from, other researchers, and I know I felt like that too. And I am pretty skeptical, but
have I been guided in some way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like, I don't know, like I've been selected to carry out something. I don't know. So I'm about to go up here and finish it. And like, I feel it, I felt a lot of strange things, and I feel like I got this little intuition, and I just like trust it. And like, when I second guess it, is when I make the wrong choice. As long as I go with that first choice and just go with the flow. I got my go with the flow method. I started writing down things to talk about tonight, and I was like, no, I'm just going to, you can't talk like that. So I'm just going to have to just wing it. So
yeah. That's the best. And then, just go with the flow, what you feel at the moment. And, but I know what you mean. It's sort of like, as long as you take one step, you're going to be led to the next step,
Right. And only till you find one step does it familiarize you with the next step.
Yeah.
So you don't even know what the next step is until you find the next step. And then you have to find the next step, but you can't go ahead and skip 2 or 3 steps or you won't figure something out. You know what I mean? And I went ahead and skipped a bunch of stuff because I could see it on the map, so it was like, I don't know, it's really tricky. And so I just kept on at it. But now, I figured out so much and how things work and how the geographical information systems are kind of set up in there. They got front views, side views, top views. And, just in case you can't see it this way, they'll put it another way. Right. And it says answered by repeat. So they repeat it over and over, but it's just hard to differentiate what information you're getting as to what's getting you there, what's getting you in, what's getting you through the cave system.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know.
It's always a cave, isn't it?
It's always a cave. And it says cave out there on the rocks. Like it says cave.
Yeah.
So it's like it wanted me to find it. Once you get to the spot, it says cave on the rocks. Like they didn't want it gone forever.
Now, do you think this is the only copy of that map, or the only copy of the Declaration that has that map?
I feel like it's the first original Declaration of Independence. So I feel like it's probably the only map that led to it. It is the key. Just in the bill papers, you got 3 letters or 3 ciphers. One cipher leads to the locality of the vault. Number 2 is the contents of the vault. Number 3 is the names of the heirs who's supposed to receive their equal shares of the treasure. And I'm supposed to differentiate the shares, and one share I retain as my own. And they assure me my share is so ample, I won't mind distributing all the other shares to other people. So,
and I think you're like me in that it's like, it's almost not about finding a treasure and being rich. It's like just finding it and knowing it. And, there's like a lot of, treasure hunters around, the Rennes Chateau area. And, the thing that I was always hoping that they would find would be documents and maps and things like that. Information, knowledge, and I wasn't so into like, I don't want to care if I find a pot of gold or, some, valuable jewels or anything like that, because, to me,
even if you find it, you can't sell it. It's still not money. Like it's still just gold. I couldn't just take the coins and sell them to somebody because the coins come from that. It tells so much more of a story, So I don't know. I got all these other problems that nobody will ever have, So I don't know. I live in a little town. I'm broke. I ain't got no money. So I have to work, and then spend all my money doing treasure hunting. And then work, and be a good husband and be a good dad and try to juggle everything at work and then do that. It's tough. It's tough being me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to some of that. I've had my own obsessions I'm still involved in my big obsession. That's why, ultimately going to be moving over across the water one of these days in the not too distant future to pursue more of my research and tramping around before I get too old to go anywhere.
Yeah, YOLO. You only live once, and
exactly.
Just go for it. I say go for it.
That's right.
Live your dream and hunt what you're passionate about, and there's magic in not giving up too,
That's
so
right.
Just keep on going.
That's absolutely true. And it's like, to me, the sadder thing is when you don't have something that you're passionate about. It's like, as long as you got that passion, that's gold right there. But if you're just not interested in anything, or you're not passionate about anything, that's a very sad and depressing existence. So I don't know. I'm like you, I don't, necessarily, I work to stay alive, but I do what I do in this area just for the love of it and just for the passion of it, because it's just amazing. And honestly, for the people that I meet who are also doing their thing, and it's like I constantly learn from every single person that I met, especially every person that I have on the show. So you actually can teach an old dog new tricks, because I learn a lot from everybody that I have on here. So, but and this was a great example, and I hope to see more of your document. Coming out in the future. I know you don't want to. Maybe sometime we could see like a a section of one of the maps or something that wouldn't give us the full, picture, but just so we could see how it is that it was depicted. And also, if there's a way that we could see how there's sort of different layers of stuff.
Right. The close stuff, the far away stuff.
Yeah. That may be a full documentary or something.
Yeah, that's a whole man, that's so much information. I have so much content. I could do so much, but
And
I'm in the middle of a treasure hunt. I ain't really, ain't studying all that stuff right now. I try not to even research certain subjects because I don't want to get off track too much. I just try to stay focused. I'm not even trying to do ciphers. I'm more focused on map reading and rock carvings and, trying to figure out how to get inside this thing. And by having the entrance, have like an equation when you already got the answer, so you can reverse engineer the rock carvings and see how they all point to it. So maybe I could be better at finding other treasure caches based off the treasure symbol reverse engineering that I'm experimenting with.
So am I correct that where the location is, from what you've been able to see, you've been able to sort of verify to yourself that you're in the
at least one location, at least one main location.
But is it that have you not found the entrance, or is
right?
It
well, it's all solid rock. It's all solid rock, so you got it, and it's
got to be
very difficult. It's very difficult to explain with multiple layers of solid rock, and it's like a vault. They built a massive vault on a massive scale, more than it's very, very large, and they just only one way in, and everything you dig is going to be solid. And I've dug around the entire thing and ended up right where I started at. So I second guessed myself, and so now I finally found what I was looking for. So I got to go back and see if I'm, correct or not. So it's just an ongoing thing. I probably might be wrong again. I might have to move 2 foot over. I don't know. Who knows?
Right. But
I think I'm getting close. It's just fun. I'm just having a good time doing it. I make progress and I learn something every time. I figure out a little more of the document. And every time I figure something out on the document, it just makes it more valuable. So, it's like a job.
Do you feel like any of the stones, the rock have been worked, like are there sharp edges, or do you feel like that they just took natural?
I got carvings. People spend a lot of time carving these rocks up there. And even the map, like on the rock where I was digging where that beam of light shot out that I was talking about earlier, the rocks got like some kind of green, almost looks like fiberglass on the rocks. So they put on there to preserve the rock so it would never break off. I can see it in the rock, and I don't see it in places where they carved at.
Oh.
And you see it all best right at dark, too, like some kind of dark stuff. I feel like they figured out how to carve like inside caves. And, so if you had like a cave and you had a candle sitting on one side and you carve something, and your buddy walks up with a candle on the other side, all of a sudden it disappears. So then you got to have like 3 sources of light to carve in the darkness or something to be able to carve a perfect picture so you can see it.
Yeah.
And so they figure out how to overlay information carving in rocks by adding light sources to multiple sides. You can overlay the information on top of each other.
Wow. That is
There's a lot of strange things going on out there.
It works with shadows because.
Yeah, it's like shadow. Like you can't see it on a sunny day. It's got to be the shadows of a rainy day or a cloudy day. Like it's like opposite of what you're thinking. Like it's right there at dusk.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
You said there's one way in. And so is there still one way in, or is that one way in blocked? Or do you think there's another way that maybe
there's an excavation or a vault? Like you do the ciphers of the bill ciphers or whatever. It says in an excavation or a vault 6 feet below the surface of the. Well, one of them is a tunnel, which I've dug a 40-foot tunnel already. I've excavated it. And so now that we dug that tunnel, like it got so dangerous inside the tunnel that my wife don't want me to go up there and dig in the tunnel no more by myself. And,
Yeah.
Like it just got dangerous. I'm not a professional digger. There's still dirt here and there, but it's still got a solid rock floor going through it.
Yeah.
Like it's the floor so level, you can put a level on it and drag a level down through there, and it just stays level.
Hopefully,
But,
it's not booby trapped or something. I know that
but it could be. It could be. And my goal is not to die.
Yeah.
My goal is just to go up here and just try to do something and get some evidence, and then just try to, feed my family.
There were some places I know in caves and things where they were fixed where at a certain time they would fill up with water, and if you were going through there, you'd get trapped in there and couldn't get out, things like that. So yeah, be very careful. I understand why your wife is concerned about that. At least she's not trying to get rid of you.
Yeah.
She's still trying. She still wants to keep you around for a while. But you know what? We're at the end of the show, and I want to thank you, Justin.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about my, stuff I got going on.
I love it. And let us know when you're ready to go forward and do more stuff. And especially if you find something else, if you find that entrance and get in there, I'd love to hear about it. Oh my gosh.
Yes, ma'am.
But thank you. And it was great to have John on earlier this evening. We had a great doubleheader tonight, and I hope everybody will come back next week with a brand new show. James is coming back, my sidekick. He won't like me calling him that. My genius partner, James, will be back next week, and he has been on the road again over in northern England and Scotland. He's identified a few more Templar sites that he's going to be talking about, as well as some Roman sites around Vinderlander and other places up in the north of England. So we'll be sharing those next week right here. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you again, Justin. Take care, everyone, and be nice to each other.